Joe Biden called those of us who are critical of Joe Biden and this administration yesterday squealing pigs.
Over the objections, because they sound like squealing pigs. Over the objections of Romney.
Over the objections, they sound like squealing pigs. Ooh, shouldn't have said that out loud. That's fantastic. Now, some people say, now, wait a minute, Glenn. This is diversity and inclusivity. These are lovers of all opinions, all lifestyles, all choices as valid. Joe Biden is the vice president of the United States. He's calling us pigs now. That's fantastic, isn't it? He's so inclusive. Actually, it is fantastic because it shows their desperation. It shows who they really are. You know, when you're succeeding, you don't necessarily show your true colors. It's when you're in trouble that people begin to see your character. We don't have to worry about the name-calling nonsense because name-calling doesn't matter. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but calling me a pig really is ridiculous. It shows us what's happening and who they really are. It shows us what kind of shape they're in. Heading into the home stretch, they've never been questioned. They've never had their back pushed up against the wall. They've never had any of these things happen to them. They don't know how to deal with it. We do. We've been pushed up against the wall, first by the Bush administration. Then we were pushed up against the wall by this administration. We get it. We know who we are. You know who you are, and you've known who they are for a long time. But maybe you have a friend who's a zombie or clueless or I don't know. Or they just kind of liked Obama and Biden for the hope and change stuff. I'm guessing even they understand it now. The independents understand it. But let's evaluate here for a minute. What kind of shape are we in? Americans in general, other than the zombies, I think we're in better shape. I think we're in better shape now than any time since 9/12/2001. You remember the feeling of unity, resolve that we had? We came together. We cared about each other. Even where we have a drought now, people have common purpose, common goals. The farming communities are coming together. People are beginning to come together. We used to care about each other. On that day, we did literally care about each other. We turned to God. We had a common goal and purpose. That's what Americans always do in a time of crisis. We come together. We've come together. We've turned to God. Right now, when, as I said the other day, the country is at a real crossroads, we're coming together. We're looking at the choices carefully, and we're choosing the paths that lead us back to the road the founders put us on. At least many of us are. Not everybody. Admittedly, there's a chasm in America, or as John Kerry would say,
we shouted out across that chasm.
That chasm. It's a chasm. There's even a chasm about how to use the word or pronounce the word chasm. Chasm. Look, those with eyes cannot see. Those with ears cannot hear. Don't worry about it. There are enough of the rest of us that can pull this thing out of the fire. Don't forget, every poll, every single one done over the course of years has shown that that conservatives outnumber liberals at least 2-1. And a full 79% of Americans are not liberals. Now, of course, liberals act like they are in the overwhelming majority, but they only have the overwhelming majority of loud mouths. The fact is, we surround them. It's not even close. And that's why they have to call us pigs. Bill O'Reilly was on the show yesterday and mentioned some inside information on the internal polling that the candidates do, both on the left and the right. Not the polls from CBS, the New York Times, or Rasmussen, but the polls the candidates do that they don't share. He says both Romney and Obama's internal polling show that if the election were held today, Mitt Romney would win, that he already has more than 272 electoral votes necessary to become president. Now, a lot can change between now and the election, but this is what I've been feeling for the last month or two. There is something going on in America. People are waking up. People are turning to God. I've told you over and over again, expect a miracle. I believe it's happening. And I believe you can feel it. The protection of divine providence is alive and well in America. Now, this doesn't mean that we're not going to face some hard times. And if you've gone into the grocery store lately, you've seen it. Have you purchased a box of cereal lately? And that's only going to get worse. The price of corn and soybeans are higher. I think it's a record now. Record high. We have got to demand that our communities take care, that our neighborhoods take care, that our family has taken care, because trouble is coming with the economy. I did a show last night that's going to air on Friday about the Middle East and Israel. I had Lieutenant Colonel Cowan on. He is Special Forces Intel. I had a woman on from the CIA, former national security personnel. And I had General Jerry Boykin, military intelligence. These guys were freaked out. As close as I would say these guys ever do. You know, it was like they were like, ah! But they are always so calm and collected. And they were extraordinarily concerned about what's happening in the Middle East and how we are not prepared. And how the American people are not prepared. And if there is a disruption economically, have the American people been prepared? We'll do the right thing, as Todd Beamer did on the plane. And all of those who died in a field in Pennsylvania. If Americans know the facts, they'll do the right thing. And they don't need anybody to tell them to do it. They'll just do the right thing. That's what's coming. But you have to know the facts. I said to somebody the other day, I've said over and over again for quite a while that this audience will be the audience that saves the nation. I so believe that. I still believe that. This is going to, you're part of the group that will save the nation. We will hold it together. You will be a shelter from the storm. You will be a blessing to your neighbor, to your family, to your state, and to your country. Because you've done the hard work. You know what we're facing. We're facing freedom, real freedom that will come at a cost, or slavery, free stuff. The good news is there's a lot of Americans that have had their fill of the free stuff promise because they see the freedoms going away. And more importantly, they also know you can't keep paying for this free stuff. It won't work. It never does.